Unlucky draw. Ah, yeah. Something beautiful is gonna happen this week. Well, he's dead. Alright, it's time to peek some more Saga of Tanya Evil. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, Patreon, full links over there. But let's jump into it, see what they got in store for us this week. Tanya, at a certain point, you're gonna realize that ceasefire, rather than blowing up churches that are totally not churches because an emblem's been removed, maybe we start blowing up our own headquarters. Because if we do that, things are gonna be a lot more peaceful for you, I promise. Tanya, you dumb son of a bitch. You know how in like stuff like Game of Thrones, Jaime Lannister had to kill the Mad King? There was no W's for him after that, but you know what? It was the right thing to do. And in this case, fuck the Empire. Oh! Yeah, if you stretch it too thin, it's gonna snap. Is that supposed to be like the influencer duck face or whatever it's called? Deadass though, right? Would anyone actually be shocked if at one point Tanya pointed a gun at him, killed him, and then made her way to HQ with all of the political bigwigs, killed them, went over to the other side and said, hey, our leadership's dead? The little slut is wild, bro. We take him, put him in the group of our leadership, and then we blow them all up, you know? I really feel like that'd be great. Oh my god. Bro's like, ah, yes, I want to be balls deep in Satan's ass right now. Don't make me retreat, ma'am. That's the perfect soldier. A country that doesn't care about your lies loves to see right there. Oh, someone's dying for sure by the end of this episode. Damn, if only I could say I didn't see that coming. I don't think it'd be an exaggeration to say Tanya's actually fucked. I don't see how she has a positive end. Obviously, we know her fate's unknown, at least according to the movie, and like where the Empire goes. But it gets to a point where someone who's so desperate... Now, I'm not saying Tanya's the moral compass of the show. No, she does nefarious things and can do it with no negative consequences in her cold, shallow heart. Because for her, an enemy's an enemy, it doesn't matter if they're living or breathing. The thing is a part of me thinks, with how she is, it would get to a point where she would turn her guns on her fellow government. And it is easier said than done. You know, look at our current day with governments in our own world and look at our history. It is so easy to say, why didn't people stand up to the evil? Why didn't they stand up to a government that did not care about them? But it's easier said than done. It's only really doable when there's usually a large fucking group that makes you feel empowered. Now, I do think in my heart, this is the girl who can launch orbital strikes from the sky. It does get to a point where I say, Tanya, my girl, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? But the constant way she goes, peace is surely on the table. In the past, like 3 episodes, there's been like 2 or 3 times she's looked at us and said, surely this time is the time that peace is here. Even bro said so. And then what happens? Someone says, it doesn't matter if you lose a limb. Just the name of the game. At some point, I feel like the story's going to have her do something. Now, I'm torn. I'm 50-50 on this. I easily see how Tanya is the type of person who just follows her orders. She fights against him as much as she can, but she never turns her gun on the Empire. Which would be foolish, because at a certain point, you have to realize this government is a lost cause, that the chain of command is a lost cause. But then again, look at how she's even able to let people sacrifice themselves for her missions, right? So she does kind of fit in. But at a certain point, if we were to just let the Empire fall, I really feel like she would be able to get to that peaceful destination. I almost wonder, do you think Being X made her on this side because he wanted the Empire to fall and we knew no matter what, like, it would just, this is the optimal outcome, she's the perfect soldier? Let me, like, throw an insane theory. The only reason they are convinced they can still push on is because of Tanya's feats. Without Tanya's feats, they really haven't had massive W's, right? If Being X hadn't made it so Tanya would be on this side, the Empire would have had to cave and give in to peace treaties a lot sooner. Do you think Being X did this master plan because Tanya is the perfect soldier? No matter how much she complains, she will always do her job. And in doing so, the Empire will dig their grave deeper and deeper? Food for thought, but it's just something that came to my mind. But either way, Tanya, I understand that we as the viewer have more information than she does. she's pretty much like, what the fuck do you mean? Peace treaty should have happened. And bro will be like, yeah, about that. But if we were able to send her a little message, a little carrier pigeon into an isekai environment, right? And we told her, if you just blast that meeting room in the last episode, I swear to God, your shit would go so much easier. Now, maybe not. Maybe it honestly would be worse. It's hard to say. But the more we watch of this, the more fucked she is. It's really hard to even imagine what her ending looks like. Like, she's probably dying. Or, you know, the funny outcome would be, like, when the war is all said and done, she thinks she's finally gonna have her simple life, and she just continuously gets roped into more shit she can't say no to. I don't know how that would look, but I feel like it's a very strong possibility, and that brings me great joy. There's so much about this episode that I really enjoy, but it's an incredibly frustrating episode. Is bro dead here? It's 50-50 too. Does Tanya live or die? It's 50. There's a lot of that. The good news is I don't think it was a death blow. It looked more like here. The bad news is he's falling. Now, granted, there is other people who are flying, so they could catch him. As long as he doesn't splatter on the ground, it's not guaranteed he dies. But it ain't looking good. I mean, we are already severely outnumbered. If he dies here, the morale dip is going to be through the roof. Like, I'll definitely say this episode was probably the least visually impressive out of the 5. Mainly because there was a decent amount of 3D that was noticeable 3D. It kind of looked like the toy soldiers in Toy Story. That's kind of how they were textured, in my opinion. It's just there was a lot of these types of shots. And like I say, it does kind of remind me of the soldiers from Toy Story. But here's the thing. We've had some pretty crazy animation throughout this season already. I'm okay if there's a couple of battles that aren't like the best Saga Fest known to man. And I think one thing that actually helped a lot is the fact that they didn't try to overly detail their faces. They did kind of make them look more like mannequins, which, yes, is obvious on one hand that they're very 3D, but on the other hand, it makes them less inhuman. Because when you try to make a 3D anime character model and you're really not cooking with it, the more you try to detail it, the more uncanny valley it feels to me. So I think this is probably the preferred outcome. And I'm sure in the coming episodes, there's going to be some insane animation anyway. So, you know, I'm sure it's fine to have it once in a while. Some people will probably make it a bigger deal than I will. But to me, it's like, yeah, it's definitely noticeable, but it doesn't ruin the episode. It's just, to me, it was very much noticeable that this was the weakest produced episode. But the general character animation, when it came to the dialogue, was pretty much what I expected. It's just in terms of action sequences, definitely the most mid of the bunch. But another good episode. Very anxiety-inducing. The more I watch, the more I'm like, man, this shit sucks. Great for entertainment value, but it's frustrating how literally the general soldier has no one looking out for them. Like, if you really think about it. Ain't no one looking out for Tanya. Half the time, Tanya ain't even looking out for her own people. I mean, she tries at first, but then once she hears someone say, hey, bro, I know my orders say I should probably retreat, but let me die for my country. You're the best soldier. Anyway, cinema. Your thoughts down below. What did you think of this week's episode? How fucked do you think Tanya and company are? Like, we already know her country's fucked, but, like, it's going to get so much worse before it even gets bad. Your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, of course, and yes, Patreon for live reactions you live over there. And hey, if you're already over on my Patreon, I'll also give you a video shout out because my patrons are with on this YouTube channel. Alright, so today we got Andrew, James Baxit, the Almighty Ultimus, Without a Net, Joan Wang, Vibel, Agus, Diarson, Kyle Asperus, and we also have the Dragon's Thorn. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you have a good one.